Welcome to Colorado Tech People, the podcast where we talk with the founders and innovators building companies that shape how we live, work, and connect. I am your host, Monisha Saldana, an executive with 15 years of experience in product management. Today's episode explores how technology is transforming the way people experience food and hospitality. I'm joined by Marvin Lim, co-founder and CEO of Colorado-based The Kitchen Table, a platform that connects people with private chefs to create unique in-home dining experiences. Building a marketplace is never easy, but building one that connects people around food, trust, and experience might be one of the hardest. We'll talk about the hard decisions behind building a marketplace, how technology can enable more personal dining experiences, and what it takes to grow a startup in Colorado. Let's dive in. First of all, welcome, Marvin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great honor and a really great opportunity for me as well.
Great. Well, to start with, I'd love to hear what inspired you to co-found The Kitchen Table. What was the problem you were trying to solve? And what were the challenges in building a marketplace business?
Yeah, thank you so much for, the question. Let me bring you back to 2024 where all of this started to happen. Back in 2024, I was one of those people who have multiple jobs, some remote, some not remote. Leave it up to you guys to think how I managed that. But while I was working 3 full-time jobs, I was pretty much working like more than 100 hours a week, and I don't have time to cook. I don't know what to cook. I only have so many limited cooking knowledge in my head, and I went out to Google and searched private chef in Denver, how much does it cost, what can they do, and so on. And that's where I found out like private chefs are so expensive. Even with 3 full-time jobs, it's still pretty expensive. So I saw like, okay, if so many people are in my position who are busy, so many people who want a private chef but can't have private chef, there's a gap in the market that I can fill. So that's where I went out to do market validation. I talked to customers, talked to chefs, and then that's how the kitchen tables formed.
Really interesting. If it was expensive, that means the chefs were charging more money than they charge on the kitchen table. What made them willing to charge less at the kitchen table?
Yeah. This is one of our competitive advantage where across the industry or across history, chefs are the ones setting the rate where it's maybe $150 per person, $200 per person, because private chef has always been seen as a luxury experience where only the rich people, the 0.1% can afford it, and that kind of stuff. However, what I figured out is I flip the script. I make it more consumer friendly. I think of it from my point of view. I want a chef. I'm only having this amount of money to spend for the week, including groceries and the time. So if I only have this much amount of money that I'm willing to spend, what can I get out of it? So this is where we flip the script to ask you as a consumer, how much are you willing to spend for a private chef? And it's up to the chef to send you a menu that works within the budget, which includes cooking, the ingredients, prepping, and cleaning. However, there are some times where customers come in and said, I just want something for $25 per person. And it's just like a family of 4. That is unfortunately not doable because of we're having 2 little people. It's really hard to cook for just 4 people with $25 per person. But majority of the time, a lot of people are here for experience. You guys as a guest set your own experience with a private chef.
So fantastic. So do I understand correctly? I would go onto the platform as an individual and I could put my budget onto your platform.
Exactly.
Wow, fantastic. And so then the chefs then kind of bid for that opportunity to cook.
Yep.
Wow. And what do you find is hard about building this marketplace?
It's way tougher than it looks. I never thought it would be this tough. Where there's dry seasons, there's like ups, and then when the down is super down, when the up is super high up. Because I've done many businesses before. I've launched, e-commerce business. I've done like data analytics consulting businesses. I've sold just random stuff in school, random stuff online. But building a marketplace, which means you have 2 different sets of customers, 2 different ideal customer profile, 2 different marketing strategy, 2 different operations, 2 different pipelines, and it's just double the effort for everything. It is tough, but it is fun.
And do you find that it's more difficult to get the chefs or more difficult to get the customers who want to employ the chefs?
In my experience for the kitchen table, it is a little tougher to get consumers just because whenever people hear about private chef experience, immediately they think about, oh, it's going to be super expensive. And customers tend to not go forward with it. They tend to not, they don't want to try it. The reason why it's easier for us to find chef is because a lot of chefs are also stuck in a box in the kitchen, at the back of the kitchen, just cooking, listening to orders, following orders, and we want to be able to open up that box so that they can create their own craft. They can cook whatever they want for the customers based on the customer experience. They can talk to the customers directly, and they're more relaxed when they're working one person in the kitchen.
Yeah, so it's an interesting and fun opportunity for the chefs. You mentioned there's ups and downs. Are those around holidays like Valentine's Day and Christmas, or what are the nature of the ups and downs that you see?
Yeah. So the downside, for example, like a restaurant business where after Christmas especially, where everybody has already spent their entire budget on Christmas presents. So usually in January, you'll see a little dip. And sometimes in September, October, you see a little dip as well, just because it's after summer. A lot of parents are, they want to stay at home. They spend a lot of money during summertime. And then that's where they try to save a little bit money so that they can spend towards fall and winter.
Interesting. And early in the journey, what were some of the hardest decisions you had to make when shaping the platform and the business model?
Very, very great question. One of the toughest decisions that I have personally is because I'm doing so many things at once. I like to do so many things at once, and I just focus on so many different things. And when we started off, we pretty much scaled to 11 different states. On first week, we have chefs from 11 different states. We're finding customers from 11 different states. We're talking to so many people, and it's just two of us in the company trying to do so many different things. And as we grow, and I realize that as well, like I've watched a lot of podcasts, I read a lot of startup books, startup experience on Reddit, Y Combinator. What they say and what I resonate well is do things that don't scale. Find a really, really small niche of customers that you can serve and try to win as much market share as you can, and then you can scale. So instead of chasing all the shiny objects like I did when I started off, we're scaling down a lot just to focus on one very specific task, one very specific niche, and just go dive in from that direction.
And can you elaborate on what is the niche that you decided to focus on?
Yeah, so the niche that we scaled down to right now and we're focusing all our energy on is partnering up with Airbnb host or short-term rentals property management company. So we partner up with them. We offer our services to their guests. So these can be families or friends who are coming in a group of 8 or more usually, and when you have 8 or more in a group, it's hard to find a restaurant that works well for everyone. It's hard to make a restaurant reservation because you're a large group. And if you have different dietary restriction in that same group, it's really hard to go to one restaurant. So this is where we step in to boost Airbnb's 5-star reviews into a 6-star experience for these guests.
And how do you reach out to the Airbnb hosts? That must be very time intensive.
Yeah, it was when I first started off, where because in Denver, I don't have any friends or family who own Airbnb. I'm not in that community. I have no clue how to enter the community. So what I did was I just went on LinkedIn. Social media is the best friend for every business out there. So I went to LinkedIn. I just do a post like, hey, I'm looking to partnering with short-term rentals, looking for any host out there who's willing to talk to me, explain to me how the business works, how this partnership can work. And I found a really great friend. His name is Reed. And we talked for probably 2 hours trying to see how things work. And for him, he owned probably like 4 or 5 Airbnbs. And he said, this is one of the best idea he ever heard for an Airbnb. So that's why we started off. And that's why I get to network with many more short-term rentals hosts. I'm partnering with over 200 Airbnbs now in Colorado.
Are you focusing on Colorado?
Currently, yes. We're doing things that don't scale just yet until we can achieve probably 80% of the market share in Colorado or more. And then we can duplicate this model elsewhere.
And that brings us to building in Colorado. How have you found it being an entrepreneur in Colorado? Is there a lot of support?
Yeah, honestly, for me, the support that I have from the Colorado community, Colorado startup community, entrepreneurs, mentors, and everything. It's so helpful. I've never imagined everybody who is so willing to help you out, even when you just started, even though you're doing things that doesn't work. Everybody here in Colorado is so friendly and they just give you advice. They're willing to spend 30 minutes with you. They're willing to spend an hour just to dive in on what's working for your business, what's not working for your business, what I've done from my experience that you can implement for your business. And everybody's just so helpful. And
what advantages and challenges come with building a marketplace outside of traditional tech hubs like Silicon Valley?
people always say like, oh, you should go Silicon Valley to raise money. Silicon Valley is where the community is everything's growing there. Sure, I personally haven't experienced that, but I do have friends who have done that. We went to Silicon Valley for 4 months. They tried to scale their business. The way how he described it to me is you're just in a house with 20 different founders, 20 different companies, and you sit there 24 hours, you sleep there, you just work your ass off for 4 months nonstop. And after that 4 months, he told me it was enough. There's really like no balance in his life. So he moved to Colorado, and where it's more relaxing and you can get work done. You can also scale your company. You can execute better because there's nature, there's the vibe is so different. It's more slower pace, but you execute better.
Okay, more productive in Colorado.
Yeah.
Interesting. Building a marketplace with chefs on one side and diners on the other side, it can be tricky. So how did you solve that chicken and the egg problem? Did you start with the chefs or did you start with the diners?
That's a huge problem that a lot of marketplaces out there are trying to figure out. For me, what I would recommend for future marketplace founders is just pick one and go with it. For us, we picked with the chef side because I wanted to understand how chef works, understand the industry a little bit more before diving into the consumer side. So I picked with chef, go with it, and then find buyers for the chef, and that's it.
Cool. Was there a turning point where a product or strategy decision significantly changed the trajectory of the kitchen table?
Yes. In fact, there are quite a few, but I'll give you one of the best examples. We want to scale so quick at the start of the business. Our target customer is everyone. And in the startup world, everyone is your customer, which means you don't have the right customer. So we were targeting everyone. We were just doing things that, we were just trying so many different things every single day, and we got nothing in. There's maybe one customer out of 1,000 that we tried, right? And we're just doing things that we're just trying to scale way too quickly. And that I realized that quickly, like you really need to know your ICP well enough, find out what's their main pain point, and then you are the best solution. If your solution is not good enough that they can say, hey, if I don't have this solution, I can live with it, that means the ICP is not strong enough, and probably switch to something else where you can target a maybe smaller niche, but capture the entire market and then scale from there.
Is your ICP Airbnb renters?
Yeah.
Very cool. And do you share the revenue with the Airbnb hosts?
Yes, we do. One incentive we give to Airbnb hosts is they get revenue sharing. For the guests, they get an extra menu item on us from the company. So that way we create not just a win-win situation, but a three-way win situation where we get a customer, the Airbnb business, they get some revenue, and for the guests, they get a really great experience without selling their kidney for a private chef.
Wow, fantastic. What features were most important to build early in order to create trust between diners and chefs on the platform? How do you build that trust?
That's a very good question. When we first started off, we had so many pushback, because we were a startup, and a lot of customers that came in like, I don't know you, I never heard of you, your social media don't even have so many posts. Back then, we had our first MVP. It was just a website, like a PDF, and that's it. You can barely click anything, you can't even pay. And that's what we had. And the fact that we have customers who pay us through Zelle shows that there's a demand, and that's where we improve our MVP to a second version and to a third version. Now we're on the fourth version of our website. So with all this customer feedback, we started to improve and make changes on the needs of the customer. With a lot of AI tools coming out, you don't know if you're talking to an AI or human. I make a point to talk to every customer, chef, users. Since it's Colorado, I drive to every single request to talk to the customer there, be with the chef, take pictures for the families, take pictures for the event, and then post it on social media. So I am to show that I'm a real human doing all this stuff and making that human connection. It makes a lot of difference.
That's also very time intensive, so I can tell you're really putting your heart and your soul into this business. The kitchen table connects customers with chefs for in-home dining experiences, as we've said. How does the platform use technology to simplify the process of finding and booking a chef?
Yeah, that's a very good question. AI has really helped us a lot. So I wouldn't be able to imagine how businesses or entrepreneurs before the internet started their business and the internet started. It helped a lot of businesses, and now with AI and AI agents, it really helps. What manual tasks can an AI agent do for me while I'm sleeping? So analyzing our website, testing out bugs, clicking on things, just to click on different things on our website just to see what doesn't work. And there's just so many tools that out there. For example, N8N is a great tool to create a pipeline because I'm a visualized person. I like to see how the chart flows. I like to see how things flow. And with N8N, I can create a pipeline and visualize it there and just drag and drop to make changes. And it's just so easy.
You're using AI heavily in your building of the product. What is the team behind the kitchen table?
We're a very, very small team. Take a guess, how many people do we have?
Well, I know it's you and your co-founder. And then, I mean, now that you've said it's really small, is it the two of you and you've built the site yourself?
Yes. So from day one until today, we actually hired our first head of growth, SE. So it's just now 3-person team running the entire pipeline, entire company.
Yeah, and that just wouldn't be possible without AI, right? Like that's...
Yeah, without AI, it would be
brilliant.
so time intensive. We wouldn't be able to do it without AI.
So what were the tools that you used to build the platform?
There are quite a few tools. So for example, my best friend right now is Claude. Claude Cowork. Claude is really my best friend. I talk to Claude almost every day, but almost every hour I talk to Claude. But on top of that, we have our back-end stack, like we use Next.js for coding. We know we have Next.js is one, we have Postman, we have database. So all these traditional tools that we have, those are still in place, but AI tools are the one that help us find our gap, find our loop, find our bug faster, and then we can fix the bugs or just pretty much make our company more efficient.
Wow, fantastic. And, you know, it's just really interesting to think about the way that you're able to leverage your skills using AI to run a whole company with just now 3 people.
Yeah.
So congratulations on hiring Jesse. So
Thank you.
is Jesse going to take over focusing on the hosts?
Yes, so Jesse's task would be working with me to help take in more hosts, partnering with more Airbnb hosts in Colorado, and then from there we can start scaling to other cities.
Do you have many competitors in the market?
Yes and no. Just like a restaurant business, there are many restaurant businesses are probably one of the most competitive out there because there's so many restaurants, and each restaurant can be a caterer. Each chef can have their own website, right? And there are quite a few private chef platforms as well. But what we're doing is something no one else is doing. What our business model plan is something that nobody else is doing. So for example, if you book, you pretty much pay the fee, a flat fee of, you know, how much they are charging or how much the Uber is going to charge you. But for us as a marketplace, we flip it around, and you as a guest, you set your own expectation and your own experience, and will fit within that price range. So what we're doing is something no other businesses out there is doing.
That's really exciting. I love the idea of flipping the script. The kitchen table isn't just about food, it's about creating shared experiences. What kind of feedback have you received from customers about the impact of these private dining moments?
Yeah, let me give you one very cool example from our customer. So this customer of ours, they have 23 people within this Airbnb that they booked. And it was a family reunion where a family in Denver booked the Airbnb and everyone across the country flew into Denver and they have a family reunion. That was super cool. Like some of them were from Alaska, from Vermont, from Texas, and they all met in this Airbnb. And we had the great opportunity to be able to cook for them, to engage with them, to talk with them. I was there taking pictures, playing with the kids in the pool, helping out with the barbecue. So I was there kind of like a part of the family reunion, but also being professional, but seeing the guests enjoy the moment, seeing the guests not, they don't have to stress about cooking, they don't have to stress about cleaning the Airbnb, they don't have to stress about the one thing that matters where everybody needs to eat. And this is where we step in to help relieve that stress. And it's really a pleasure for me to be able to do that for a lot of families.
And looking ahead, what role do you hope the kitchen table plays in redefining how people experience dining and connection at home?
Yeah, very good question. The vision that I have since the beginning of this company is to make private chef more accessible and affordable. I want almost everyone to be able to experience a private chef experience at least once in their life, and we can have many more, because right now for about $60 per person, $75 per person, you can have a private chef, comparing to back in the days it cost $150 per person for a private chef.
Yeah, and if you go to a restaurant, it's like $50 a head anyway. So
yeah, $50 a head, you get that noisy ambience. Not all restaurants are noisy, but most restaurants are noisy. And then there's so many instances where when I go out with friends, with a group of 6 people, I'm sitting in this corner, my other friend is sitting in this corner. We have to talk so loud just to hear one another. But when you host it in your home or your Airbnb, you're just in your kitchen table, you're just sitting with your friends, and you don't have to shout across the table, and you can share the moment and enjoy the moment even better.
And am I right in assuming that so far you've been bootstrapping the kitchen table?
No. So we did have a really small angel investment check from Jason Calacanis, and that really helped us validate our idea, help the company grow, and that's why we could do a lot more partnership. That's why we could give, I guess, more discounts to people. However, it is a small check, so we're still having the mindset of we're bootstrapped. Everything we do comes down to the very last penny of, if this penny is worth it, can it move the mountain for us? Then that's where we spend our money. If we spend a penny and it doesn't move any single needle, then we still consider ourselves like bootstrap. We want to stay lean and we're not spending that penny.
And do you have a fundraising strategy? Are you planning on going for more angel investment or a seed round?
Yeah, we're looking to do a pre-seed round hopefully by this year, so that way we can scale this business even faster. We've been growing really well for the past couple of months especially. And I guess right now we have a pipeline that works, we have a process that works, and we would love to get the right investors in to help scale this business.
What's a mistake you made early in building the kitchen table that taught you an important lesson? And how did it change the way you lead or make decisions today?
That's a very great question. A lot of my business that I started previously before the kitchen table is just me, one person. That's the saying. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go as a team. So a lot of times I work by myself, I execute it on myself, and then now when I have a team, I have to understand. The way how I like to describe is, even though you're the CEO of the company, the chief everything officer, the way how I look at it is the inverse. I am right down here, and everybody else in the company is above me. I'm working for them, for the company. In other words, like, I need to have more empathy, even though I own the business, even though we all own the business, and I want to execute faster. I want more speed, more execution. At the end of the day, we're human. We are allowed to make mistakes. And the more mistake we make, the better the company can grow. And it's okay to not have an answer all the time because we don't know the future. Think about what problem you want to solve today. You plan for tomorrow, but tomorrow can be a whole different experience compared to what you think about from today. So this is where I learned how to take a step back, calm down a little, don't have to control everything for every single moment, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Looking back, what do you wish that you had known before starting the company? And what would you do differently if you were building it again from day one?
What I wish I would have known is Honestly, nothing. I would not advise my old self in 2024 to say, hey, look out for this, look out for that. Because at the end of the day, just if you want to solve a problem, there's always a solution to every single problem, and just go with it, right? If you don't know, there's option A, B, C, and you don't know what to choose. I once heard online, one of a really great CEO said, if you don't know what to choose, just pick one and never look back on the other options and just go with it. And that will be your right answer all the time.
If you had gone back again, though, like if you could go back in time, would you immediately focus on the Airbnb hosts? Would that be something that you would do? Would that have saved you some time?
It would have saved us some time, but again, we will not be able to learn the market as well because it's not the Airbnb host wasn't the first market that we wanted to hit. We probably have 7 different markets that we wanted to hit before we found Airbnb host. So without all the 7 experience that we failed on, we will not be able to find Airbnb host. So I see our learning and mistakes as a blessing to find a door that opened for us.
And what is one book every builder should read and why?
One entrepreneur right now that I really looked up to, and if I could meet him, that would be super cool. His name is Alex Hormozi. The book title is called $100 Million Deal. It's pretty much how do you package your product so well, he described it as a grand slam offer. How do you package your product so well that it's hard for a customer to say no? So on social media, I listen to his podcast. I watch a lot of his video. I'm learning a lot from him. He's such a great entrepreneur, and the way how he executes things is really, really cool. So he's somebody that I'm listening to a lot and reading his book.
Fantastic. Well, I'll have to check that one out. Thank you. Thank you, Marvin. This has just been a wonderful conversation. I learned a lot about how to build a marketplace.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'd like to thank our listeners for listening to this episode of Colorado Tech People. If you enjoyed our conversation about building new dining experiences through technology, consider sharing this episode with someone who loves food, startups, or entrepreneurship. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future conversations with founders and leaders shaping Colorado's tech ecosystem. You can find links to the kitchen table and Marvin's work in the show notes. Until next time, keep building, keep connecting, and keep creating experiences that bring people together. Thank you very much.